Shurjo will speak first. They are the center leaders in Mumbai, new center soon to be. And Naryani wrote a book about her time working with Swami Kriyananda as his personal assistant right before he left his body. And the book is called My Heart Remembers Swami Kriyananda. And she will also be doing a book signing after service out in the foyer. So I'd like to invite Shurjo to come up.
Good morning, everyone. I love Jesus' words because they're just bring to mind such a clear image. Constantly he uses these little stories, these little images to make clear to us what he is saying. And in this image of the vine and the branches, another image comes to me of Jesus being the spine and us being the branches. And if we live in the spine, then we're living with him, abiding in him. But what caught my eye from this reading is this little challenge that Jesus puts in after this image of, if you abide in me and if my words abide in you, then whatever you shall ask for will be given unto you. This isn't something he's saying that this will happen when it does, which it will. It's also a challenge for us to see, am I in attunement? And if I am in attunement, then these words of Jesus must come true. And it's a challenge as a disciple because this is how he follows it. And if that is so, then ye shall be known as my disciples. So it's almost like we're not yet truly disciples until it is so that what we ask for is given unto us. Not the next car, not that bigger house. The fruits that Christ is talking about is greater joy, deeper spiritual awareness. And so this challenge is important for us because it's what will test our attunement. When Naryani and I were in our center in New Delhi, we got to a stage, especially I, let me speak for myself, where I started to feel a little dry. I started to feel a little lost. And I was doing everything that I should be doing. I was meditating, energizing, serving. I lived in the ashram. I did everything that I knew I should be doing. Yet, I was feeling, I don't know if the Guru is with me anymore. Yes, I was feeling that I'm just doing all this, but it seems so much more like routine and habit now than it was when I first came onto the path, where everything was, as the Gita reading says, awe-stricken, adoring God. Because, oh my goodness, have you heard about karma and have you heard about reincarnation and isn't it wonderful? And now it was like, yeah, I know karma and I know reincarnation and sure, I know how it works. And I was just going through the motions, the good motions. Everything was good. But was it enough? Because it's not enough to just meditate on the Guru, with the Guru. It's not enough to serve the Guru. We must abide in the Guru. That's a whole other level. In the beginning, it's enough. Let's serve him. Let's practice our teachings. Let's set a routine that is going to firm within us a spiritual life that is solid. But then what? How do you know that you're abiding in him? How do you know that you're breathing him in and out with every breath? And here we were just feeling that. I was feeling it especially. Naryani was going through her own process and she also felt that she really needed to write this book. Swami asked her to write. And so we decided to take a year of seclusion. In fact, we just said we're going into seclusion. We don't really know what that's going to be like. And in a sense, we were stepping out of our comfort zone. We were stepping out from the umbrella that was Ananda. My life after I finished college, I came to Ananda and I've pretty much lived within that umbrella of protection, of support. I have not had to work. I have not had to. My life I gave to the Guru, and the Guru took care of me, and I was very grateful for that. But now I had to step out and test my attunement with the Guru beyond this protective umbrella. And we said, let's go out. We decided we'll go to Spain. Naryani is from Spain. And let's just test our attunement. If this is what the Guru wants, he will take care of us, because we don't have the resources to go to Europe, especially after living in India, where we receive $120 stipend. We don't have the means to get there, but if this is true, if we are in tune, if this is what the Guru wants, let's test it. Because it's not enough to just say, I live in Ananda. And so we left for Europe, and we had enough for, say, a month, 2 months if we really stretched ourselves. And then we said, beyond that, Master, it's yours to let us know. If this is in tune with your will, you will sustain us. And if it is not, we'll come back, and just do what we've always been doing. So no problem. And part of that was I also went on a seclusion where I walked the Camino de Santiago. And so I just, put on my backpack, left the house, walking not the popular route, but a very less trodden route, so that I don't meet anybody. And I left in complete silence, without a cell phone, without anything, because I just said, I want to be with you. I'm tired of doing what I should be doing, but not being with you. And so I walked for 45 days, 700-800 miles. And it was tough, and it was hard, and every day I was getting to this next town, and some places had a place to stay, some places didn't have many facilities. Sometimes you're sleeping on the floor, sometimes you're sleeping in a good bed, sometimes there's running water, sometimes there isn't, depending on how big the town is that you stop at. But just being with him, it was just so joyful. My body was hurting. I was tired. I was missing my wife, who would, if I was in this situation, would comfort me. I was missing Ananda, my Guru Bhais, in the situation where I have so much love and support. But I was with the Guru. And that was so joyful. That pain was so joyful. That discomfort was so joyful. That not knowing what kind of situation I'll find myself in the next town was so joyful. And after that, when I returned, Naryani had her own seclusion. We just said, okay, here we are. Let's see. This is it. The next 15 days and we're done. We have no more means to continue. And just as we were getting to the point, not worrying at all, because whatever was right would happen. If we had to get back on a plane, go back to India, so be it. Just at that crucial moment, somebody heard about the fact that we were doing this and decided they wanted to support it for a little while. Great. We got maybe 2 more months on our seclusion. And that just went on and on and on for a whole year. We had it in our minds that we'll go for a year, but we really didn't know. And it went on pretty much exactly till that time. And not only that, the house that Master gave us, Nirmala and Dharmadas came and visited us, and they can attest to it. This beautiful mansion of a home with a swimming pool and open gardens, and when you tell the Guru, you take care of my life, when you do not put any of your own, this is how I want it, this is what I would like, my goodness, what he gives you. Much more than you would have imagined for yourself. And I'm not saying this because somehow we did something special. All we did is said, we want to abide in you. And when we abide in you, all that we need, all that we ask for, you shall provide. And this is how Swami Kriyananda lived his life. We think about Swami's life, all that he's done, all the music he created, all the communities, all the books, and we think about it and we say, oh wow, what a wonderful, spectacular human being he was. It was superhuman, because it was superhuman. Because Swami didn't write any of those books, that music, these communities, because he had any interest in writing these things. He wrote it because he lived in God, and this is what God expressed through him. It would be a shame for us if a few generations later we are still talking about Master and Swami and all the things that they did, and none of us have done the same. It would be a shame if we're still 100 years saying, Swami Kriyananda did this. What about all of us? What did we do? Are we not capable of writing books and music and creating centers around the world? Of course we are. Because if we abide in him, he will flow through us. It's not enough that we just say we're living in this life. We must become his true channels. Just as Swami was. Swami's life is for us an example of not what or how great he was. Just as we constantly say, the masters did not come to show us how great they were, but how great we are. Yet, we do nothing knowing what we could do. Yet we say, oh wow, how wonderful Swami wrote this beautiful piece of music. Oh, how wonderful he woke up in the morning with music in his consciousness. We can have music in our consciousness too. Only if we live in him. If we live with him and he in us. I think the time has come for us to say we are disciples. It was only when during that walk, when I said, I only want to be with you, that after 8 years of discipleship did I finally feel like a disciple. I said, this is what it means to be a disciple. Not all the outward motions. It's that inner discipleship that we're looking for. And in that, he will walk through you. He will push through any obstacle, test, and he will make it joyful. Because he is in you and he is joy. There was a very sweet story that a friend of ours from Ananda Assisi, Jayadev, perhaps some of you know him, told. He was traveling with Swamiji. He's German, so he was traveling, accompanying Swami as Swami was traveling around, touring around Germany, giving different classes. And one night they were staying there was some family that was hosting them, and this family was they weren't particularly on the spiritual path, but they were gracious enough to host Swami. And they were intellectuals. And so here they were sitting and having dinner. And Swami was having this very intellectual conversation with them about politics and arts and literature and science. And Jayadev was thinking in the back of his mind, what a shame. Here I am with Swami. Here are these people with Swami, and we're not talking about spiritual things. We're not talking about God together. We're not getting to be spiritual. And as he was having these thoughts, Swami gently leaned over to Jayadev and said, Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Let's just whisper to him. And then he came back and he continued his conversation. You see, Swami was never not with God. He wasn't having a conversation about politics. He wasn't having a conversation about art. He was with God, and God was conversing with these people through him in the way that they could receive God. That is what it means to abide in God. That is what we're looking for. We're not looking for something different than that. We're not looking for falling shorter than that. That's what we want. But we have to dynamically make that a part of our life. Am I abiding in God? Is God living in me? Am I breathing him? Or am I going through the motions of a disciple? Towards the end of his life, Swami Kriyananda. Had a very sweet episode with him. We were in Assisi. It was perhaps 10 days, 12 days before he left his body. One morning, Swamiji says to me, "Shurjo, I noticed you don't wear a watch. I have this, I was going through my drawers. I found this old watch that I used to wear, and if you'd like it, you're welcome to it." So I said, "Of course, Swami, I'd love to have your watch." And since it was an old watch, it wasn't working. The battery had run out long ago. So Swami said, "Let's go, into town after lunch. Let's get you a battery and let's get you wearing this watch." So we all head to town, get the battery in there. And Swami says, he looks at his watch and he says, "Shurjo, why don't you set your time according to mine? So we'll always be, Swami was a punctual man." So I say, "Of course, Swami." So Swami says, "It's whatever o'clock," and I set my watch. The next day, Swamiji asks me, "Shurjo, what's the time?" I look at my watch and I say, "Sir, it's 11:12. And he says, "My watch says 11:13. Change your watch." Okay, sure, we have to be punctual, fine, no big deal. Here I go, move it to 11:13. The next day, Swamiji asked me, "Shurjo, what's the time?" And I say, "Sir, it's 4:27. And how many seconds?" I say, 23, 24, 25. And he says, "Mine says 45, 46, 47. Change your watch." So here I am, you have to stick the thing out, you have to wait till his second hand comes there, and then he tells you, "Okay, press it in." And it was a sweet little exchange, and it was only later that I realized, of course, it had nothing to do with the time. Swami was asking, "Shurjo, where is your attunement? Where are you?" And I said, "I'm close. I'm a minute off, no big deal. I meditated, I did my practices, so I'm close." But Swami says, "No, but I am here. Change your watch. Why would you want to be close and not with me?" And then I'm only a few seconds off. That's really close. That's it doesn't get better. But why better if not exactly the best? Change your watch. Now, all of us in this room, we're very close. We're within the minute. It's only the seconds we're dealing with now. But why would we not even fix those? Why would we want those few extra seconds? For what? Because we're not ready to fully live in God. We still have things we want. And that's fine. But now that we know we're just a few seconds off, wow, we're just a few, imagine that. People are days off. We're just a few seconds off. Let's all change our watch.
Just speak very briefly. While I was thinking about this subject, two stories came to my mind to share. One of them was an episode I had when Swami was still in the body. And the second story is about a dream I had with Swami Kriyananda 2 years ago. So the first story, I was already serving Swami Kriyananda. This was around a year or so that I was with him, so I already by then learned what it meant to be around him, to serve him, to know his daily flow. I felt myself kind of in tune with him, or what he wanted, what were the things that he really enjoyed, what were the people he wanted to meet, and so on. So I remember one evening after I finished my day with Swamiji, I was feeling so blissful, so grateful for being able to serve such a great disciple of this great master. So I went to my room, and before going to bed, I meditated a little bit. And in my meditation that evening, I was talking to Master. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I feel so blessed, so lucky. So many people would like to do this kind of job, and I feel so honored to do that. I could be like this for the rest of my life. Thank you. I'm so happy I'm going to do this forever until Swami leaves his body. So I was in my meditation playing with those thoughts. I finished my meditation, and before going to bed, I saw that my phone, like beep, like a light went on. So I went to check my phone, and I saw an email from Swamiji. And in that email, he wrote the subject, "Your new job as a traveler." I thought, oh my God, my new job? I thought I already had a job, and that was serving you. Oh my God, I didn't even wanted to open that email. So anyway, I opened the email, and it was a letter from Swamiji that he was writing it while I was meditating. And in that email, Swamiji came with this great inspiration of sending me around the country in America, giving tours and lectures about one of his books called The Time Tunnel. So he wrote a long email how he envisioned for me alone traveling to America and connecting with this person, with this other person, and speaking in English and all the things that I could do. And then he writes on, even you know that you have a very thick accent, but that will be on your favor and people would love that. And he went on and on and on. What a wonderful idea was for me right now to send me out. So I finished that email, and I was literally shaking, like, oh my God. And I knew by then when Swamiji will send a request like that, you know it wasn't a joke. You know, there was something there. So I, put my phone aside. I went back to meditate again, just to come back to my center, because many things were happening. First of all, I had an I was afraid to, first of all, to speak in English, to tour a country that I have never been before, to do it alone. He didn't even say, I will send someone with you. I will send you alone, and you can just explore the country. And I was like literally freaking out. And then the most important thing for me, that will mean I won't be close to Swami. And he will need to call somebody else to serve him. And believe it or not, I was afraid of that. I just didn't want to lose him. I didn't want to lose the opportunity to be with him. So, as you can imagine, that night I barely slept. I just went through every single scenario of myself going to this place, to other place, to not being with Swami, what that will mean. I was so afraid. I think it was around 4 or 5 a.m. that finally I came to peace within myself. And I thought, forget this email is coming from Swamiji. Let me see if this email is coming from God, and His will right now is for me to be out, to go out, to be away from Swami, if this is with what God is asking of me, am I willing to abide myself in that request? Or I'm going to put so much resistance that what God needs to do through me, the process I need to go through, the transformation I need to go through, is going to be blocked and it's not going to happen because I'm afraid to follow His will. So at 4 or 5 a.m., I told to myself, I know the very moment Swami is going to see me in the morning, he's going to ask me. So I need to be ready, and my answer needs to be genuine and needs to be truthful and has to come from that place. So at 6, I went back to his apartment. We were in Los Angeles, and I entered through the apartment, and he was sitting there in his couch. Good morning! And the first thing he asked me, so, did you read my email? And I said, Swamiji, yes, I read it. So, what do you think? I said, well, Swamiji, if you think this is the best thing for me, I'm happy to do it. Anything you feel is good for me, I'll do it. And he said, oh, good, because I have been thinking about it, and actually, I don't need for you to go anywhere. I still need you, so let's keep that for us. Let's just keep you a little longer. And I thought to myself, if nothing else, this situation brought me to a point that I knew from now on what I really need to be focused, open towards to whatever God asks of me, whether I like it or not, whether I think I'm ready or not. That's secondary. My answer needs to be yes. And to align myself with that divine will. Once someone asked Swamiji, how do I know if I have overcome a test? And Swamiji replied, when you don't fear it anymore. And this is it. Because at the end, what really we are facing more than the situation itself is the fear of it. We will be able to face it. We will be able to really let go of that. But once we come to a place like, anything you want to send me, anything you want to take from me, I'm ready for it. That kind of abiding in God really needs to take place in not only in our lives, in specific moments, but daily. What it means daily to be open, to give yourself fully. The second story was about a dream I had with Swamiji 2 years ago. It was also a period where Shurjo was saying I was also feeling very lost, I was feeling dry, I was feeling the grief, I was feeling very disappointed about many things, I was having great expectations about certain people, about this, about that. And suddenly I found myself in a place that I don't recommend for anyone to be. So I was struggling with many thoughts, and I just didn't know how to come out of it. I was doing everything I could, but I found myself, something is missing here, there is something I'm not getting. So I remember one evening going back to bed, went to bed like crying, like I was a little bit like desperate. Why I'm feeling this way? Why I just cannot feel myself? I'm in tune with Master Swamiji. Why I cannot feel many things? So I went to sleep like crying in my sobbing, in my tears. And that evening, I had a dream with Swami, and in this dream, the dream is this. We are 5 or 6 of us together in a line. So 4 or 5 Naya Swamis, because they were wearing blue, and myself, the 6 of us, we were standing in one line. So the dream was this. Swami, this will be the first time after Swami's passing that he will come, he will see these 6 people, and he will give a specific advice, a specific message to each one of those people. So I was part of that group, and I was the last of the line. We were the 6 of us. So all of us in this line knew that Swami was about to come, and he had a message for us. So we were I was so excited. I mean, the first time I will see Swami after his passing, oh my God, I can't wait to see his eyes, his smile, and even if I can, I want to hug him. I mean, I was eager to see him much more than even the message that I knew he had for me. So we are standing, we are waiting, and finally Swamiji comes. So Swamiji comes to the first person, he says something to that person. No one of us could hear what Swamiji was saying to that person. So that was very private, very sacred. No one was trying to listen. Everyone was with that dignity. I know my time will come and he will tell me what he needs to say. So he went to one by one by one. So then when he came my time, he stood in front of me very seriously. And the only thing he told me was, do you think God is taking care of your life? A question. So I stood there for a few seconds and I say, well, Swamiji, I thought for a moment and I replied, I think so, Swamiji. I think God is taking care of my life. And he only replied, very good. And he left. That was the only thing he told to me. The fact that he asked me something as a question just made me think, because he could have told me so easily, don't worry, God is taking care of your life and God is with you, as he many times say to all of us in his talk when he was alive, don't worry, God is taking care of your life, the masters are always with you. But the truth is, how many of us are really living in that awareness? Very few. And the fact that he asked me in that dream, it forced me to stop and think, is it really God taking care of my life? I'm really feeling his presence in everything I do, in everything I think, in every interaction, in every situation. Can I feel him with me, in me? Swami didn't come to my dream to console me at a superficial level. Yeah, don't worry, I'm with you. Don't you see I'm in your dreams, I'm around you. No. He came to give me the message that is the most important for all of us as disciples. Can you feel God is taking care of your life? Even if those moments, the hard moments, can you really feel his presence?